doors, I suppose. Is that what she's doing, or I wonder? I guess they can open them up if they want to come back. Thank you. Thank you very much. Vicki? So I see that some people came up and got some handouts that were up here. We didn't make a ton of copies. We didn't know how many people would want stuff. A lot of this stuff is already available on the website that I'm going to show you today. But I will tell you that Don really didn't know if he should bring these or not. And so I wasn't with him when he was making the copies or anything. But just in going out to schools, what I do is I go out to schools and I call schools and I say, we're doing a Rule 10 compliance check, and can we come to your school, visit your school? And then I just sit across the desk with the administrators and we go through the list of things that they should be paying attention to for Rule 10 purposes. And that's been the majority of my job for the last 3 months. As I go out into these schools is that the schools who have the strongest school improvement process in place are the ones that don't even really need to look at this Rule 10 checklist. What I can tell you from my own personal experience of what I've seen the last 3 months is that if you have a solid continuous improvement process in place, most of the stuff on Rule 10 takes care of itself. So for example, if you see this bubble sheet, Don keeps calling it a bubble sheet. Basically what this bubble sheet does, it asks you about all the different areas of things that are happening in your district. You know, you've got your IEP information and you've got your PBIS, and I think this is more of an advanced ed thing. But if you look at all the different things that you have going on in your school, that's going to stay there, I think. But yep. But then you're already talking about everything. This is secondary, this is elementary, and this is K-12. Everything else is going to take care of itself for the most part. So just keep that in mind, okay? Sometimes I think we're doing that event thing, and we think, okay, year 5, we got to look at this checklist, make sure we've got it all done. But if you do it through the whole process, that checklist, you'll go, oh yeah, we got this. Oh yeah, we did this. Oh sure. And it just takes care of itself. So again, easier said than done, I know, but it's just a thought. Keep that in mind. Don asked me to ask you guys if you would not mind giving me a little bit of information. Just tell me about I'm going to talk to each school just very briefly and tell me about your committee. Who makes up your school improvement committee, and what kind of, like if you're just starting, it doesn't matter if you're like, oh, I don't have one yet. Then tell me you don't have one yet. Seriously, we're all here to learn today. So again, there's some schools that have a process and it's clicking like a well-oiled machine and you're just here just to give a few tidbits, and there's some people that are just starting, and that's totally understandable. So we're here together. We're all in this together. So if you don't mind, as a team, or if you're a singleton, if you tell me what your team looks like, what it's made up of, and maybe how often you meet, or what your plan is for that. Okay, so St. Bernard, if you wouldn't mind starting.
Myself as principal, Katie Garrett as data specialist. Father Nolte. We have a middle level teacher.
Okay, and again, this is not going to be shared with any. Don just kind of wanted to have an idea. You're not being held accountable for what you say today, or so it's just a good idea to know kind of where you're going with this. So, all right. Oops, you said elementary teacher. And how about meetings? Do you have scheduled once a month? What do you do with meetings? Okay. Okay. And I like what he said. He said that he has the weekly grade level, and they have the monthly staff meetings. Sorry, I got the hiccups. He said also that the committee meetings, his school improvement committee meetings, are sporadic. And let me tell you that we are all human and life gets in the way, correct? Life, you have all the best intentions of the world. I've been there, I am there. And you just, some things you just don't get to because life gets in the way. I want to tell you folks that if school improvement is something that you want to be important to your district, get it on the calendar. Get it on the calendar. I feel like my parents are retired. I feel like I have to schedule meetings with my parents because they're busy following the grandkids of my younger siblings, and I understand that. They put everything on their calendar, and I'll call them up. They're from Sioux Falls, and I'll say, hey, mind if I pop up to Sioux Falls this weekend? Come up and see you. Well, let us check our calendar. And if it's not on the calendar, like when I call and I say that, and they say, well, it looks like we're open on Friday night and Saturday morning. And the first thing out of my mouth, please, because that's when it becomes important to them. So please put some meetings on your calendar from the very beginning and then just stick with them if possible. And I totally understand that life gets in the way, but I feel like from experience, from what I've seen the last 3 months, is that if it's on the calendar, life has a little bit harder time getting in the way. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Myself, the pastor,
Okay.
primary, elementary, and middle school teacher.
Okay.
And he was a very data-driven individual.
Okay. We find too that a lot of times the data, the IT people get on there, and a lot of times those IT people find it that it's much easier to do all the work themselves, because in order to teach other people how to analyze that data, they feel like it takes them longer to do that, and it's just easier just to do it themselves. And you have to kind of steer those people away from that mindset. And if I'm sorry if I'm preaching to the choir, but I just want to make sure that I reach everybody, who people who are just starting to the people who are already through the process. But sometimes those IT people, God love them, thank goodness they're there, because I don't have that kind of mind. I rely on people that have that kind of brain, but sometimes it's hard for them to instruct others in what they're thinking. So please work with them on that too. So thank you.
St. Joan of Arc.
Yes.
Principal, teacher. Actually, I would say our whole staff. I mean, I think I'm relying on Cheryl to take maybe a bigger role in, but we've only got like 12 teachers on our staff, so everybody's got to be part of the team.
Okay. All right.
I
Whole
will say
staff.
we focus on our goals much more regularly on this continuous improvement process.
Okay.
So I can see where that's the weak area. It's like,
Okay.
okay, I see where we're doing this, but I'm like, oh, as far as documentation and putting it together and communicating it.
So,
I looked at Cheryl and I said, hey, you think any of our kids know
the kids are supposed to be a part of
Well,
this?
it was like, I don't know that they would know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, oh, absolutely. But I don't know that all this, I don't know if we
There you go. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be the exact wording of the goal, but do they understand why they're there? And do they understand why their teachers are doing what they're doing? And do they, so it's just a matter of giving them a little bit of a different perspective. So you have focused a lot on where you've talked a lot about the goals, right? And you've done a little research for those goals, correct?
Right, and I would say we even have data.
Okay,
We have
so-
data.
Okay.
And we have put in some action. I mean, we've done some things. We made some changes. But I think we are starting to focus on, okay, well, we think if we do this, those reading scores are going to improve. So now it's all about do you guys know how to do this?
Yep.
I mean, that's.
Now you just need a backup.
Well, no, we have a little lot more to do than just backup. I mean, there's pulling all those pieces together.
Yep.
But it's like, do I see that we're moving the wheel? Yes.
Right. Good.
Okay.
And that's a start. That's fantastic, actually. Thank you. Okay, so do we have All Saints? Okay.
The principal
Okay. Thank you. St. Gerard.
St. Gerard.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even, I just, ugh.
We have on our team, we have myself, principal, and assistant principal, and actually right now our entire staff is on the team because we have our visit in February.
Okay.
So
Oh,
every faculty meeting twice a month.
Okay.
At grade level, everything is kind of getting us prepared for that.
okay. Yes.
But a specific team, I have a middle school teacher, a special teacher, intermediate, and elementary for pre-K teacher, and then our business manager
Okay.
is also on our team, and of course, our pastor.
Sure. Sure.
He is my meeting, so.
Okay. All right. So the key then for you guys, since you've got your visit coming up in February, is then next year, keeping those meetings on the calendar and just keep right on going through the process. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. Okay. Once a month. Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. PLCs, you guys have, anybody else have PLCs? You guys do. Okay. All right. Thank you. And Sacred Heart?
Two classroom teachers, our student sports service teacher.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And who do we got?
Our team for both this is just our SIP team, like kind of our largest staff.
Okay.
Ours is myself, although we have included on it the assistant superintendent and Father Jindra. I don't think they've made SIP. That's not
Okay.
but it's just
Sure. Sure.
on it, but
Sure.
yeah, I think we're super good.
Sure.
And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 faculty members that all represent like technology. One's differentiated instruction, one's data, one represents specials, and then 2 resource teachers, and then Catholic identity.
Okay. All right. There's that Catholic. Okay. Thank you. And back here? Yes.
We're not a school considered like involved in aspects for principal, assistant teachers, school board, pastor, IT, and counseling.
Okay. And when you have, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It looked like you were going to say something else, but when do you have regular meetings?
That's just the
Sure.
schedule meeting. Now, assistant principals, yes, they work with teachers. You know, their meetings and all.
Uh-huh.
Have them, bi-weekly, so
Okay.
aspects
Sure.
that we don't have a regular schedule.
And my question to you is, when you do lay that schedule out, do you think that you'll include the school board members, a school board member on that committee in those regular meetings?
I don't know if we're going to include them as part of that when we're meeting with the teachers and all, but certainly discuss it, I think, at the school.
Sure, sure. Okay, that's interesting. You said a school board member. I just think that's interesting.
We'll discuss that
Sure.
when we have the school board.
Okay, okay. And back here? Yeah.
And we're kind of getting started. We have a really small staff, so we're all on it's divided up a little bit into technology and curriculum. That's kind of where we thought we could get rolling.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm from St. James Seton,
Okay,
and our committee would be myself, assistant principal, our technology teacher, 2 other teachers, one of whom is a parent as well,
okay,
and then we meet quarterly.
quarterly. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. That's just kind of helps me and actually Don too put things into perspective a little bit as to what we need to do. Yes.
I forget how much time.
Okay, yes,
Sorry.
that's fine.
Really especially that and everything. We
Monthly.
Weekly PLCs.
Okay, weekly PLCs.
And then monthly
Staff. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is the website, and you're just going to laugh because you're going to say, yeah, Kim, it's happening. All right. So this is the Department of Ed website. And just very quickly, you go to the A to Z list right here. And that will take you to this list. And then you will click on it's at the top of the list, and it looks like there's a lot of people on, so it's going to take a little bit. But I think it's the third one down, I believe. Accreditation. So it's nice that it's right up there in the A's. You don't have to search. Yep, accreditation and school improvement. So when you get to this page, you're going to want to click on school improvement. That's right where the frameworks documents are. So it would be nice if there would be a link here that said frameworks, but there isn't. So you're going to want to click on school improvement. Okay. Now, remember how I told you that there was an issue sometimes with the forms and you just needed to change your browser? This is what's going to happen, possibly. I hope it doesn't happen to you. But let's click on K. Here are all your framework. These are all fillable documents. Pretend to click on action plan here. It looks like it's opening, looks like it. I'm like, yes, success. And then this is what you're going to get maybe. And it's highly frustrating. There it is. That's what you're going to get. So Don and I were up here, and I've gotten this before. And so I said, okay, Don, so I'm going to take them to Safari. So that was on Chrome. And so then on this computer, which is your computer, I tried Safari, and the same thing happened. So try Firefox. So then I said to Don, I said, what do I tell the people? And he said, if you can't get that open, then you have two options. One, there's a handbook that is it's right here, Nebraska Framework Handbook. And you can click on that. And I've got one of those right here on right in here. And if I click on that, on the back, at the very end of that framework, you will see all of the forms. At the end of this handbook, you will see all of the forms. Now, they're not fillable, but you can, if you're just trying to get it open just so you can look at what it looks like, you can go to the handbook. That will open no problem in a PDF, and then you can look at them that way. If you are wanting to open them for fillable purposes, which we understand, and you can't get them open, then call Chris Gatula, and she's on our staff. You'll see it right there on the directory or on the side of the accreditation page, and she will open it for you. Okay? So again, try Firefox though. That might open it up for you. I don't know. So I know that's a frustration, and you wish you didn't have to deal with that, and I apologize. That is a great question. So I've only been here for 3 months. It's a fantastic question. And I don't even know if that's in our ability. I don't know if that's our IT, but it's something I'm definitely going to take back. I took back a couple months ago when I first heard about it. So we'll see what happens. So everybody is frustrated with it. So I would hope that you are going to see some relief in that area. That's a great point. Okay, so I want you to just very quickly take a look at this. Do you want me to talk about the visit first, and then we'll dive into this action plan, and then you can have the rest of the time to talk to your teams and start planning? Should we talk about the visits first? Let's just get that out of the way. And then, and I know not all of you have visits coming up, but we can, we'll just do this very quickly, and then I can answer your questions about that, and then we'll get into the action plan, and the rest of the time will be yours. I think that makes more sense. So the purpose of the external visit right here, this is what we get hooked up, hung up on. You think, maybe, a lot of people think that it's so people can come out and tell you what you're doing wrong. There's nothing in this list that shows that there's going to be a group of people that are going to come out there and tell you something that you're doing wrong, okay? And I can tell you this, and I'm going to tell you and tell you and tell you, and you're still going to get nervous before that visit, and I don't want you to do that. You folks know your school. The people coming from the visitation team don't know your school any more than what you're telling them about your school. So tell them about your school, and then when they come in, Tell them what you need help with. Tell them what you need help with. And then that's what they'll focus on. If you're struggling in an area, why wouldn't you ask for recommendations? Ask them, okay, folks, we know you're going to visit. This is kind of where we're struggling. This is where we need help. What would you recommend? And then after they visit, that's what they're going to focus on in their report. So please remember that. I was talking to a group of people a couple months ago, and one principal was very worked up about it. He was very nervous and very negative about it. I felt bad for him. One other guy that was in the thing, he said, you know what, I've had 4 external visits. He says, I've been in this a long time. He said, the first 3, I got so worked up. And he said, finally, on the 4th one, I realized, well, duh, this is our school. It's our school. It's nobody else's school. It's our school. We know this school. So he calmed that other person down. And it worked. The other guy, oh, yeah, that's true. So just please remember, it's your school. And they're coming out there to tell you what you're doing right. They're commending you. And they'll give you recommendations. Why not point them in the direction you want recommendations? For sure. They're also going to look at your data. Okay, so the NDE selects the external team chair. You, though, can recommend people that you would like. And the ones that I've seen so far, the NDE has taken the recommendation of the school. So don't hesitate to recommend people that you would like to be on your team. They're selected in collaboration then together, and they should have experience and expertise in the goals of the action plan. Okay, so if you're thinking of a reading goal and you know somebody who's a stellar reading specialist of some sort and you want them on your team, suggest them to the NDE and see where that takes it, or to your chair. Okay, so the responsibilities of the different people involved in the visit. So the host school, you will prepare a presentation about your school profile, your action plan, and other information about your school improvement process. You're going to send a copy of that profile and action plan to the team members. And I think if you send that to your chair, they'll send it out. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. And your chair is actually going to develop an agenda. Your chair is supposed to send you an agenda. But if they don't, you might just type up an agenda and send it to them and say, hey, what do you think? But most chairs that I know actually kind of put together a little bit of an agenda, send it to school, and they say, what do you think about this? Then the school can get their input and say, well, this won't work because of this and this. So the more you just communicate with your chair and figure out how you want to do that. Did you have a question? I'm sorry. I thought I said, okay. So yeah, ask any questions if you have any, okay? The external chair is going to advise you in making preparations. So, you know, as far as making hotel reservations for the team and that kind of stuff, if that's going to happen. And you're all going, what? What? Hotel reservations? So you can have a 1-day visit, 2-day visit, a 1.5-day visit, which is, I prefer the 1.5-day visits actually. It just kind of depends, but the 1.5-day visits, the team comes in the night before. You do your presentation that night and get all that out of the way. The next day, the team can start the visit right away at 8 o'clock and be all day in your school. And then that afternoon, they can come together and they can get the writing done, and bam, your report's done like that. So those are the ones that I prefer, just to get that way. You guys, as far as your presentations and stuff, that's done the night before. And you could just have a day then, that next day, and you're not up there presenting that morning. So that's just something to think about. So again, stop me with questions. Yes. Yes. I don't have that here, but I can certainly send that to you. So catch me sometime before the end of the day, and I'll get that to you. Do they have samples for all the different, like 1.5? Okay, perfect. So do you want me to show you? Is it right there on that front page? Or do they have to dig for that?
I think it was part of that packet.
Oh, the handbook?
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
It's in there. and
okay.
It tells you how many minutes.
okay. I wasn't aware that there was a 1.5-day in there, but
Oh, I think it's a 1 day. That's
Okay.
what happened.
okay. So, okay, take a look at it. And if you want an example of a 1.5-day and it's not in there, I can send you one by email. So, okay, keep asking questions if you have them. Okay, so this is the chair. Again, the chair is going to have to do the report. They've got to send a copy of the report to the NDE. And then the host school, this is what you will be responsible for. We've got the agenda we've talked about, how many days the visit is going to be. Your information down into summary form, you know that. Brief history of the process and rationale for goal selection. So you're basically just going to tell us what your school has done so far, where you are in your process, and all the data that you've analyzed. That's what your presentation is going to be to the team. And you can get more information about that from the handbook as well. And of course, you're going to use clearly labeled charts, graphs, etc., and then prepare name tags for everybody so that you know who's walking through your schools. And then the visiting team, they're going to visit with the external chair. They're going to get together and they're going to talk about who's going to do what, who's going to interview who. There's going to be a brief training session that the chair will chair, and they'll review the agenda, and then the chair is also going to talk about the written report. And then throughout the visit, they're going to visit with you folks in your schools. They're going to ask questions, they're going to answer questions, and they're going to take notes for the reports. That's what they're doing throughout the day. And the team chair, as far as the report, they're going to talk about the report format. They're going to assign who's going to write what. And then here's what they're going to write in your report: overview, strengths, successes, recommendations, considerations, and next steps. That's what you're going to be presented with. I don't know, you're not writing the report, so unless you're on a committee, which some of you may be. Yes?
How long is that report typically number?
Well, I've got one on my desk and it's about that thick. It's not very thick. So maybe, gosh, what if I lie to you and tell you wrong? I don't want to lie to you. They don't look that thick to me. Again, that's my inner, I just haven't been at it long enough. I think I've reviewed one. And it was not, I mean, it's like that thick. It wasn't very thick. So, there, okay. Thank you for showing him that. So anybody been on a team before in here? How big are, approximately, how long would those reports be? Yeah, they're not very thick at all. So about 20 pages. So yeah, thank you. And shorter. Yeah, so they'd be even shorter as frameworks. Thank you. Okay. And logistics. So for you schools who are hosting, reimbursement, expenses, meals, lodging, mileage, of course, a room for the team to do some writing, and then of course maps, directions, and class schedules, map of the school, not just a map to the school, but a map of the school. Important. And then, okay, so that was the visit. Give me any questions you have about your visit, the day of the visit or the night before, whatever. Do you have any questions about the visit itself? Any questions? Okay, I want to give you as much work time as possible, so that's why I'm kind of rushing through this. So let's go back to this action plan. So folks, this is important. This is extremely important. I will tell you, however, this is where your team, this is where your staff, you and your staff, this is where the staff will live, is down in here. So if this falls apart, then this part can't happen. So obviously you got to get this stuff in place, but this is where your focus needs to be after you get things in place. Okay. So if you take a look at your action plan, you've got your improvement goal up here. You've got to have that academic goal. So you've got it up there. You need to list, and this is information, fillable forms. Like I said, that's the one I tried to click on. So once you get your stuff in order and you want to open that up, try Firefox, and if you can't get it open, talk to Chris, and then you can fill this in on the computer. So it asks for 3 sources you use to select your goal. And then, of course, you'll put in the data, the measures that you have, and your baseline post-intervention. So your baseline post-intervention measures for your norm reference, your non-norm reference, so anything else you have, and then what you decided as a strategy and the interventions that you're going to use, and your objective. What is it that you want to get done? So when you do this action plan with your staff, does anybody have anything you'd like to share with the group that you've used? Let me ask this. Has anybody gone through this process with their staff before with an action plan? Anybody in here done an action plan with their staff? Lots of people. So how do you, so Vicki, may I ask you, I'll put you on the spot. But let me ask you this. When you, staff, okay, and I was that person. You came to me and you said, okay, Kim, I need you to keep track of this stuff, okay? So I need you to talk about strategies that you're doing in your classroom that apply to this goal. And immediately, well, as soon as I walked in the room, I need to be in my room grading papers mode, right? So how do you get buy-in to teachers on this? Is that the million-dollar question that nobody has an answer to? Or how do you get teachers to realize that this is so important to the whole plan?
My take would have been involving them in the initial, what are our improvement goals to begin with?
Mhm.
And then each one of us looking for, well, then what is my role? How can I contribute to being a part of achieving that goal? And that's where we come down to, all right, your department, what strategies are you going to do so that you can improve your math scores, your reading scores? And
Okay.
that's kind of the approach we took.
So the first thing that I took from what you said is you made it an all staff thing from the very beginning. Mhm. And that's so hard to do, I think. So hard, especially when you're nearing the end of your visit and or sorry, not the end of your visit, the end of the cycle to where you're getting towards that visit and you know you have to get things done. And it's just, you just want to push, push, push. So one more reason why you start right back over again and just keep right on going. Okay, so give me questions about action plan that I can answer. Give me questions about action plan. Yes. 11 o'clock. Give me any questions that you might have.
This is sort of related to what you were just talking about. I'm like you, I like to do everything myself.
Yes, we own that, right? It's the first step.
How do you like kind of let a subcommittee go with, like, if they're in charge of like looking at math, they don't have access to everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, I feel like I would still be, what do you mean, let me get you all this, I mean, how do you,
Well, I think,
I know this is like a
Kim,
stupid question. But
no, it doesn't. Does anybody else want to speak to that? Did you hear what she said? Said she's got, she struggles with allowing or having a subcommittee do the work. They don't have access to everything, or they may not know what to look for, I'm assuming, that kind of thing. So how do you let go and kind of let them and kind of take it over?
Yeah, and one of the things I met with our external team visit leader, and she said one thing that's really good is to evaluate the programs that you're already using. And so I don't want the people who absolutely love this program to be the only ones evaluating it. But I thought, how will the other ones, they don't get around, they don't use it, but I think that they would have great input. I'm just not sure how to do that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Has anybody else run into a similar problem? Because to me, it just sounds like it's silos, right? And how do you get people who don't know what's happening in this silo? How can you, are you the only one that can evaluate that because you kind of know what's going on? How do you get those silos to go away?
Still need to have mixed, I'm trying to talk loud. So
Oh, sorry.
Still need to have mixed groups so that the people who do know the program, who have access to the information, can share with them, okay, this is what this is doing. And the people who aren't familiar with it, charge them with asking the hard questions, being the devil's advocate, and thinking on the part like of a parent or of a student, having to be those eyes for you. You may have to do something, and perhaps this is an ideal thought, because I've been there and I know it's hard. If you have your school improvement team and you have one member from your school improvement team be on each of these subcommittees, that helps to facilitate so that someone in a leadership position still has that overall sense of where we headed.
Yeah, and even my team, when I kind of gave that idea for them to each head, felt comfortable with it.
But if they're given the charge of, you're asking the hard questions, you don't have to have the answers. You're just asking the hard questions to help them, that committee, uncover what is really the difficulty we're having here, or what is our strength and what's good about it. Continue, or should we change course.
And another thing to think about too is I like what you said about the parent. You said something about a parent. Maybe you can have them have a set of questions that a parent might ask, or a set of questions that a school board member might ask, or a board member, or a community member might ask, so that those people who are not knowledgeable of the program don't feel the people who are knowledgeable of the program don't feel like they're being questioned by their own coworker. Have them come at it from the perspective of somebody outside of the school. Just a thought there. Did you want to add something too? I saw.
No, I was just saying that's what we've done. We're a smaller school, so we don't have a large staff, but each person who is on our school improvement is a share of some.
Okay.
So, but really, we don't count for 75% of our staff. So improvement plan
Right,
is
right,
just
right.
size, but I mean,
Sure. Yep. Yes.
School, but at my previous school, we had subcommittees as well, and one teacher was in charge of the committee, but then once a month or at our staff meetings, each committee had to report to everyone and put things out for a whole faculty to vote. Like which one you like better, which way should we go, and so that way everybody had a say on. So it might have been an attempt to break those silos down.
Yep. Mhm.
It didn't always work.
Ah.
There's always votes that are exactly.
Yes. But at least the conversations were being held, and I think that's the most important thing. So, yes.
Also at a previous district, we did the same thing, but we also met as a whole group, when we got new data in, like for our standardized tests and so on, we met as a whole group, and we broke down the data together, so we had somebody leading us, for those people who don't really know how to do that, as prepared, we're really good at digging in.
Right.
And so we all dug in, both together, and understood what all the data meant, and then we broke up into groups, and it helps.
Yeah. And that's so key. But it's hard, isn't it? Thank you. Yes.
And one easy thing that we did sort of remind ourselves of that is every staff meeting as an entire staff, the first agenda item after prayer and all that is SIP. And then there's the sharing of our SIP and the staff share. So I just say, hey, Mary, would you like to share on what about academic improvement growth? Okay, we're gonna talk about sure. And they actually break out and share. Sharing.
Wonderful. What I like is that you have that as an agenda item. It sounds like just same place every time. So your staff knows what school improvement is. When I was at the high school I ended my career in, my teaching career, I was on the school improvement committee, and we took to our principal, we said, gosh, we just don't think there's teacher buy-in. We think maybe you need to, we need to back up and kind of educate them as far as why this process is happening and what their part is there, and just went through our slides, and I'm looking around, and the staff still, we had not involved the staff like we should have. And it wasn't that they were angry about the process, they were just disinterested. And that was our fault because we hadn't included them from the beginning. And it's a huge district, or a huge school that I was in, but still, it doesn't matter how big the school is, you've got to get those people involved. Had we had an agenda item consistently like that, I think that would have solved the problem. Absolutely. Absolutely. Understood. It's a tough gig, isn't it? School improvement. Oh my. Okay, good questions. Any other questions that I can help you with, or that actually everybody in the room can help you with? Okay, so Don said that he wanted you to have as much work time as possible, and I'm kind of riding along with Don here, so I want to make sure that I stay true to that. So what I would suggest that you do is that you start with that KWL, and you start with what you know about school improvement, what it is that you know as far as your school or your district, what you know about school improvement, and what it is you want to know, and then where you need to go with that. Okay, so dig deep within your teams, but I also know that we have people here that are not with teams, and it's very valuable for those people to be part of conversations. So please, if you are by yourself, please, please, please find somebody in here, a team in here that you think would most fit your, after hearing kind of what they're doing, would most fit your district, and collaborate with them. Okay, so I can't tell you what to do, but I would say the KWL is probably where you want to start. And then, like I said too, if you have not grabbed one of these, I don't know, it's advanced ed, I believe, but it also, I think, would be very valuable for you just to kind of take a look at, especially those people who are worried about the silos. This helps you know who in your district might be a resource for these different areas, and then kind of the things that you can think about there. Okay, so any questions about this work time here? There's all sorts of things. You could also, like I said, you could take a look at these Rule 10 checklists. I don't know if that'll be helpful to you or not, but and again, the handbooks are online, so you can see the forms at the AF handbook. Okay, any questions? Or you just want me to shut up? Yes, okay, all right. I'll be walking around.